Greetings YouTube, Captain Machine here, back for another video. I'm on to day 5 of the RPG Day event. I thought I'd crank one more video out before I went to bed so that I could do a degree of catching up. Basically, I'm a day behind now, so I'm doing pretty good at catching up, I think. And today's question is, what RPG cover best talks about what's in the game? And that's led me to go through my collection, which is quite diminished since we last saw it. And I come to the realization that a lot of covers don't do a spectacular job in highlighting what to expect. Either they're too busy, or they're too abstract, or, like, for example, this is my copy of Slay Industries. We've talked about this already, and I have in the past talked about this, where I love Slay Industries. This is a terrible cover to sell the game. It's much the same sin that Deadlands did, where they put Stone on the front cover, which is basically one of the bad guy NPCs. This is Halloween Jack. Halloween Jack is not supposed to be something you bump into. Within the canon, if you bump into Halloween Jack, you're a dead man. There is no two ways about it. He doesn't leave anyone alive. He is Mort's most notorious serial killer. And he's quite iconic in that manner, being on the front cover and everything. But this cover does nothing to explain what's in the game, what to expect. Like, I haven't got 7th edition yet, but I still have obviously one of my favourite books in my collection, which is my 6th edition Call of Cthulhu rulebook. And this, again, does a terrible job of highlighting what to expect. It's basically an artist's rendition of the Call of Cthulhu short story, with Cthulhu rising from relief and the tiny little boat being dwarfed by this gigantic, impossible entity. But it doesn't tell you anything about the investigative horror inside it, or anything like that. In fact, the first edition cover of the game did a much better job, because in that one you had investigators going to an old mansion at night with flashlights, a Model T in the foreground, creeping tentacles, but I don't have it to show you. So if I was to pick something I don't have anymore, I would probably say the Warhammer Fantasy Role Playing First Edition did a really good job, because in my opinion it was a follow-on from, in spirit anyway, from the cover of Hero Quest, which was my entry into a lot of this stuff that we're doing today. Because you got your barbarians and your dwarfs and your elves and your monsters and your goblins and your orcs and the rest, and so on and so forth, and all of that's on the Warhammer Fantasy Role Playing book. But it's modified in such a way that it makes more sense within the context of the game. But I think out of all the books I own at the moment, the one that I'm going to nominate for the best cover that highlights what to expect is The New Crypts and Things, written by my good buddy Newt. Hello, Newt. I backed this on Kickstarter. I'm a big fan of it. Looking forward to the rest of the Kickstarter material as and when it comes out. I will be talking about this in much more depth. It's basically old school D&D, first edition, with what I would consider to be a Conan twist. I'm pretty sure that that's a layman's description of the setting. I'm not as well read as I would like to pretend I am. But yeah. And I think this cover does a great job, because this is basically a comic book / movie cover. I mean, you got your wizard casting strange, unusual spells. You've got your oiled, muscle-bound barbarian, which is par for the course for this kind of material. And then you've got your evil goblins / cultists gathering all around them, ready to pounce and attack, and fearful of the might and majesty of these two heroes that stand before them. I think that's a great example of what to expect within this setting. You can look at that without knowing a damn thing about this and go, oh, it's kind of like Conan. Or, oh, it's kind of like those old school 1970s, 1980s fantasy drawings, indicative of like the first edition of Dungeons & Dragons, for example. And I think it does a great job in summing up what to expect in the game. Obviously, it doesn't capture everything. I don't think any cover can. but this comes pretty darn close. And out of all the books on my shelf, this is the best cover for highlighting what to expect inside the pages. So that's answers that question. Thank you for your time. I will talk about this in the future. But other than that, hope I have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.